Hello students, a very good evening to all of you. Welcome to my channel. This is a very important class on BIHAR State PGT English, and we have been discussing the Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy. Today is the last part of the video. We have already discussed the detailed summary and analysis of 30 chapters, and today we will start from 31 to the last chapter 45. But before starting, I want to give you a brief introduction about myself. My name is Brishti Mukherjee. I have qualified NTA NET exam in English literature 4 times and have also qualified West Bengal state examination. I have 3 years of teaching experience. Moreover, I have also taught in NPTEL online course from IIT Madras 3 times. So that is all about myself. This is the link of my Telegram channel. The link is also given in the description box. So those of you who have not joined yet, please join to get notification of all important classes. And also please don't forget to like, share and subscribe my YouTube channel so that many more new learners can join. These are the timings of your classes, so don't forget to join me live. Please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to get notification. Okay, so let's start. Today is the last part of the Mayor of Casterbridge. We will complete this novel. In between, there was a long gap due to my own examination. I was not at home. So that is why I could not take classes regularly. So that is why बीच में एक लंबा gap हो गया था. So let's take a quick recap of the last session which we have done. So up to the portion which we have discussed, the major event is that Susan is already dead and there is a kind of detachment between Elizabeth and Henchard, Elizabeth Jane and Michael Henchard. And also another fact is that Elizabeth has a romantic inclination towards Farfrae, but Henchard and Farfrae has become rivals and Henchard is not ready to accept Farfrae as एलिजाबेथ हस्बैंड. तो यहाँ तक हमने किए थे जो मेजर इवेंट्स है. तो चैप्टर 31 में क्या हो रहा है कि Henchard is in continuous rivalry with Farfrae. So as a result of that, Henchard's past life has been made public. Past life means that particular incident that once Henchard sold his wife and little girl, the little daughter, to a person in terms in an intoxicated condition in a village fair at Weder. So that past life of Henchard has been made public and obviously his reputation declines. He goes bankrupt. उनका जो बिजनेस था ग्रैनरी का वो अल्टीमेटली खत्म हो रहा है एंड हिज रेपुटेशन डिक्लाइंस ऑब्वियसली ही गोज bankrupt. Now Elizabeth hears the news of his bankruptcy, so she feels pity for Hinchard and she writes a letter to him inquiring the state and giving him a kind of support. But Hinchard does not give any reply to that letter. All of Henchard's belongings and furniture are auctioned off. ठीक है, तो सेम सिचुएशन हो रहा है जिस तरीके से वो ऑक्शन कर दिए थे अपने वाइफ और अपने डॉटर को. सेम सिचुएशन इज कंटिन्यूइंग हियर आल्सो. गुड इवनिंग निहारिका, वेलकम. So all of Henchard's belongings and furniture are auctioned off and जितने भी चीजें वो ऑक्शन में डाल दिए वो सब खरीद लिए फारफ्रे. ठीक है, Henchard's rival. Now chapter 32. Chapter 32 talks about the natural description of Casterbridge, that it is a particular rural place जिसमें क्या होता है कि दो ब्रिजेस है. मतलब कैस्टर ब्रिज में दो ब्रिज है. ठीक है, और उस ब्रिज का क्या सिग्निफिकेंस है कि whenever people get sad they spend time in those two bridges because they are in the lap of nature and also they are in a solitary place. So people love to spend their time alone on that two bridges. तो एक दिन क्या होता है कि जोशुआ जॉब, remember Joshua Job was actually the candidate who applied for the position of Henchard's manager. बट उस टाइम में हेंचर्ड के साथ फारफ्रे का रिलेशन बहुत अच्छा था, तो हेंचर्ड ने जॉब को डिनाई करके फारफ्रे को वो जॉब दे दिया. So now Job is very upset after the losing of his job. So he stands on one of those bridges after Henchard's downfall. It is true that Job was not able to work with Henchard, but he feels pity for Henchard's situation because ultimately उसी के कंपनी में वो गए थे जॉब करने के लिए, एंड आज Henchard का एक मतलब ऐसे बैंकरप्ट कंडीशन में जॉब को बड़ा दुख हो रहा था, तो वो ब्रिज में बैठ के ब्रिज में खड़े होके वो सोच रहे. Now when he is thinking about Henchard, Henchard also arrives here. And Job informs him that Lucetta and Farfrey have moved to their new house. He mentions particularly that Lucetta, who was at once your beloved, she now deserted. She has now deserted you, and she has moved to another place with Farfrey. Henchard believes that Farfrey will take up his body and soul. Henchard feels so much irritated that उसके पोजीशन में जो भी चीज है वो फारफ्रे अपने कब्जे में लेने की कोशिश कर. अब इस इंफॉर्मेशन देने के बाद जो वहां से चले जाते हैं, देन फारफ्रे comes to Farfrey has brought everything, every property of Henchard, and now he requests Henchard to stay at his house with him, but Henchard refuses. This is the irony. Actually, that house belongs to Henchard, but आज सिचुएशन कुछ ऐसा है कि फारफ्रे ने वो सभी चीजें उनसे छीन लिया है, एंड अब फारफ्रे उनको दया दिखा रहे कि भाई तुम मेरे घर में कुछ दिन के लिए रहो जब तक तुमको अपना कोई पता ना मिल जाए. But Henchard clearly refuses. He feels much pain to stay with to stay in his own house as a guest. So he wants to leave Casterbridge at once. बट अल्टीमेटली लीव करने से पहले क्या होता है कि हेंचर्ड का तबीयत बहुत खराब हो जाता है. तो एलिजाबेथ कम्स टू नो दैट हेंचर्ड इज इल, तो एलिजाबेथ कम्स टू मीट हिम, and Elizabeth continuously supports him, continuously takes care of him. तो ultimately Henchard is cured. ठीक है, वो रिकवर कर जाते हैं, and now Henchard is employed at Farfrey's business. So the cycle changes. And Henchard hears the rumor also that Farfrey will be the next mayor. That rumor was also mentioned in one of those previous chapters. कि हेंचर्ड को अब ये लग रहा था कि फारफ्रे का पॉपुलैरिटी इतना बढ़ रहे हैं कि मे बी द नेक्स्ट मेयर विल बी फारफ्रे, एंड दैट पर्टिकुलर थॉट मेक्स हिम ऑल द मोर सैड एंड लोनली. So he feels lonely thinking of Lucetta. Now Elizabeth hears the news that Henchard has started drinking again after 20 years. Actually, he has left all those paths when he meets Susan again, एंड वो फिर से एक नया लाइफ बसाने की कोशिश कर रहे थे. तो हेंचर्ड ने सब कुछ छोड़ दिया था, बट नाउ आउट ऑफ फ्रस्ट्रेशन एलिजाबेथ कम्स टू नो दैट हेंचर्ड हैज स्टार्टेड ड्रिंकिंग अगेन. ओके, नेक्स्ट चैप्टर पे आते हैं, चैप्टर 33. So chapter 33 talks about Casterbridge again and how Henchard's life changes. So Henchard has become a regular visitor at the inn, जिसका नाम है King of Prussia Inn, to drink on Sunday afternoons. ठीक है, तो Henchard उस ग्रुप के साथ जा रहे थे. He notices Farfrey passing in the street with Lucetta in his arms, and again he feels so much frustrated that he starts drinking. Elizabeth comes to know that Henchard is regularly visiting that inn or pub kind of. So Elizabeth arrives and convinces Henchard to leave the inn. वो समझाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, but Henchard is not ready to understand anything. Henchard continues to sing the song. He receives a note from Lucetta requesting him not to insult her publicly and allow her to be well off with her husband. Allow her to be well off with her husband. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट चैप्टर पे आते हैं, चैप्टर 34 की. अब एलिजाबेथ एंड फारफ्रे दोनों का मीटिंग होता है, एंड एलिजाबेथ इज नाउ वेरी मच अफ्रेड एंड वेरी मच एंग्शियस that Henchard is so much furious that in a drunken condition he may injure Farfrey. ठीक है, तो अब फारफ्रे को नहीं लगता कि ऐसा कुछ होने वाला है। फारफ्रे ये कह रहा है कि नाउ हेंचर्ड इज अंडर माय कंट्रोल, आई हैव ओन्ड एवरीथिंग व्हिच वंस हेंचर्ड possessed. So now he had, so now he cannot do any harm to me. So he rejects all such possibilities. तो अब फारफ्रे क्या कर रहे हैं? फारफ्रे मीट्स अ टाउन क्लर्क requesting him to set up a separate shop for Henchard, so that Henchard can live his own life as per his own wish. But the clerk tells him that Henchard hates him greatly. Now Farfrey feels worried for Henchard. ठीक है, तो अब क्या होता है कि एक नया कैरेक्टर आते हैं, मिस्टर वर्ट। मिस्टर वर्ट इज द करेंट मेयर। ठीक है, मतलब हेंचर्ड का तो ऐसा कंडीशन है, तो उसकी जगह में जिसको बिठाया गया वो है वर्ट। So what gives the current mayor gives the news of Chalkfield's death. Chalkfield is another candidate for the post of mayor, क्योंकि फारफ्रे के साथ टक्कर में था, तो मिस्टर वैट आकर ये इंफॉर्मेशन दे रहा है कि चॉकफील्ड इज ऑलरेडी डेड। Now, on the other side, it is shown that Lucetta now feels very much embarrassed because she still hides the news of her relationship with Henchard. ठीक है, before Farfrey. तो अब लूसेटा को बड़ा डर लग रहा है कि हेंचर्ड अपने ऐसे ड्रंकन सिचुएशन में फारफ्रे को आकर सब कुछ बताना। So Lucetta requests Henchard to return all her love letters to her. So, but Henchard agrees to return that. But when Henchard comes back to take out that letter, Henchard realizes that all the letters are locked up in Farfrey's room. Actually, वो घर तो उनका घर हो गया है। तो फारफ्रे जिस कमरे में है, उसी कमरे में एक ड्रॉर में सारे के सारे लेटर्स रखा हुआ है। Now, Lucetta feels very afraid, but Henchard is trying to make it public to take revenge on Lucetta. Good evening, Param. Welcome. So Henchard comes and reads those letters aloud. So aloud, loudly उस लेटर को पढ़ रहे हैं. Lucetta is horrified. ठीक है. Farfrey requests Henchard to burn these letters, but Henchard denies. ठीक है. And very cautiously, Henchard does not reveal the writer of these letters. वो बस लेटर का कंटेंट पढ़ के सुना रहे हैं फारफ्रे. ठीक है. Lucetta tries to tell Farfrey the truth but cannot. Now Lucetta feels that the truth should not be hidden. It must be told. It must be told to Farfrey. So Lucetta tries to confess everything, but she cannot. She wants to meet Henchard in the ring. The ring is the name of a romantic place. She dresses herself in her drabbest clothes so that she can emotionally blackmail Henchard. Obviously, Henchard takes pity on her and agrees to do whatever she wishes. नेक्स्ट आते हैं चैप्टर 36। तो अब क्या होता है कि लूसेटा जब वहां से वापस आ रही है आफ्टर मीटिंग हिंचर्ड, शी मीट्स जोब। Job requests her to offer him the position of manager in Farfrey's company. Job is in search of a job, and now Job knows that Lucetta is very close with Farfrey. कुछ ना कुछ रिलेशनशिप तो है, तो इसीलिए जो लुसेटा को रिक्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं कि प्लीज टेल फारफ्रे सो दैट आई कैन बी एम्प्लॉयड एज अ मैनेजर। लुसेटा रिफ्यूजेस दैट शी डज नॉट नो एनीथिंग अबाउट इट। ठीक है, अब हेंचर्ड क्या कर रहे हैं? हेंचर्ड जॉब को एम्प्लॉय कर रहे हैं टू डिलीवर अ पैकेज टू फारफ्रे। जॉब फील्स दैट इट इज फुल ऑफ लेटर्स। ठीक है, he wonders about the connection between Henchard and Lucetta. जो सोच रहा है कि भाई बात क्या है? Henchard ने इतने सारे लेटर हमको देकर भेज रहा है फारफ्रे के अंदर, तो लेटर्स भेजने का क्या प्लान है? अच्छा, अब क्या होता है? अब एक दूसरे साइड में दिखाया जा रहा है कि इन दैट पर्टिकुलर इन, ठीक है, मदर कक्सोम एंड नैन्सी मॉकब्रिज दे इनवाइट हिम फॉर अ ड्रिंक। There he meets the फॉर्मिटी वुमन। अब ये हिम मतलब कौन है? हिम मतलब है जॉब। जोशुआ जॉब को वो ये दोनों इनवाइट करते हैं फॉर ड्रिंकिंग, and in that particular इन he meets that formative woman जो कि मतलब आप कह सकते हो कि the single witness of Henchard selling his wife and daughter to another person to Richard Newson. So she inquires of the packet Job is carrying and Job ने उसको बता देते हैं. तो जब उसको बता देते हैं तब Job मतलब इसको पता चलता है Formative woman realizes that it is full of letters. Job delivers the letters next morning and Lucetta burns all the letters. Next chapter पे आते हैं chapter 37. Farfrey is now the young mayor of the town. Now it is the time for celebration. ठीक है. When the royal carriage arrives, Henchard suddenly steps directly up to it to shake hands with the royal person. So Henchard कुछ abnormal activities कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. अब फारफ्रे अब मेयर बन गया है तो फारफ्रे जब देख रहा है कि हेंचर्ड इज ब्रेकिंग ऑल द रूल्स ही ड्रैग्स हेंचर्ड आउट फ्रॉम द कैरेज. ठीक है. Now Joshua Job is now on Henchard's side, so Joshua Job plans for a separate celebration for a Skimmington ride on that same day, uh, in which Farfrey is celebrated. Now chapter 38 में क्या हो रहा है कि uh, Hinchard walks to Farfrey's house to give the message that he would like to see his employer in galleries. ठीक है. तो Hinchard अब माफी मांगने जा रहे हैं एंड फारफ्रे को ये बता रहे हैं कि फारफ्रे शुड नॉट इंसल्ट हिम but by dragging him out in that way in the midst of public. He injures Farfrey but cannot kill him. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट आते हैं चैप्टर 39. 39 में फारफ्रे नाउ डिसाइड्स टू लीव कैस्टरब्रिज. ही वांट्स टू टेक अ मूव टू बर्डमाउथ. ठीक है. अब क्या होता है कि ये जो स्किमिंगटन राइड चल रहा था जिसका अरेंज किया था जोशुआ जॉब ने, he takes two effigies of Henchard and Lucetta, two wax figures. Lucetta shrieks that Farfrey will see it and never love her again. Lucetta feels horrified. तो अब डर के मारे वो फेंट हो जाते. Elizabeth calls on the doctor and ultimately it is realized that Lucetta is carrying Farfrey's child. Next आते हैं chapter 40 में. Henchard also sees the Skimmington ride and Henchard को finally पता चलता है कि Lucetta is seriously ill. He knows that Farfrey is going to Budmouth, so he writes a letter to Farfrey that your wife, your beloved is ill, so please come back as soon as possible. But Farfrey doesn't believe that news because it is written by Henchard. Farfrey को ये लग रहा था कि मे बी Henchard उसको धोखा देने के लिए ये सब बोल रहा है, तो वो वापस नहीं आए. ठीक है. वो जब वापस आए तब बहुत लेट हो गया था and already Lucetta faces a miscarriage and dies. तो two lady characters का डेथ हमें देखने को मिलता है. One is Susan, another is Lucetta. Next, chapter 41. Chapter 41 talks about Henchard who hears the news of Lucetta's death. And उस टाइम में एक मतलब कहानी में ट्विस्ट हो जाती है कि Richard Newson arrives. Richard Newson, the person to whom Henchard once sold his wife and daughter. And वही Henchard Newson जिसके बारे में Susan ने बताया था Henchard को कि Richard Newson is already dead now. ठीक है. इसीलिए सुसन वापस आ गई हिंचर्ड के पास. अब वही रिचर्ड न्यूसन वापस आ रहे हैं. तो अब वो ये बताने के लिए आ रहे हैं हिंचर्ड को कि सुसन इज नॉट एट ऑल गिल्टी. Susan is definitely married to Newson, but she is constantly torn apart by her sense of duty to Henchard. अब न्यूसन को नहीं पता है कि न्यूसन को नहीं पता है कि ये चीजें बताने का. तो न्यूसन ने क्या किया, वो एक ऐसे बिलीफ क्रिएट किया ताकि सुसन को पता चले कि ही इज ऑलरेडी डेड, टू गेट रीड हर ऑफ फ्रॉम दैट टॉर्मेंटेशन, फ्रॉम दैट ड्यूटी. ठीक है, सॉरी, फ्रॉम दैट डिलेमा ऑफ ड्यूटी. So Newson decided to leave her with the belief that he had died, and now he comes to know the news that Susan is already dead. So वो अपनी डॉटर को वापस लेने आए हैं, that is Elizabeth. Henchard replies, now Henchard feels horrified because for the time being, Henchard realizes that it is only Elizabeth who takes true care of him. So Henchard replies that Elizabeth is also dead and buried next to her mother. Okay. Henchard does not want to give up his only companion. He plans to live with Elizabeth. That is why वो एक झूठ बात न्यूसन को बता रहे हैं. अच्छा, नेक्स्ट आते हैं चैप्टर 42. चैप्टर 42 में हेंचर्ड के अंदर ये डर बैठ जाते हैं कि न्यूसन विल एनी टाइम रिटर्न टू कैस्टर. ठीक है. Elizabeth spends more money to dress up properly so that she can attract the attention of Farfrae. And after the death of Lucetta, Farfrae again feels attracted to Elizabeth. Okay. But Henchard now hates the union as it would take away Elizabeth from him. At one point of time, when Henchard comes to know that this Elizabeth is not his own daughter, he definitely wants Farfrae to take her off. ताकि उसको भी लगे कि एक बर्डन खत्म हो गया. बट नाउ शी फील्स वेरी मच सॉरी ही फील्स वेरी मच अपसेट एंड नाउ ही क्लियरली अपोजेस द मैरिज बिकॉज अगर ये मैरिज हो जाए तो एलिजाबेथ उनको छोड़ के चला जाएगा फारफ्रे के पास. बट ही डिसाइड्स नॉट टू प्रिवेंट द कोर्टशिप इफ इट ऑकर्स. अगर नेचुरली ये हो जाए तो इसको हम नहीं प्रिवेंट कर सकते, बट उसका ये मन नहीं था. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट आते हैं चैप्टर 43. People gossip about the engagement between Elizabeth and Farfrae. And Elizabeth mentions that she has received a letter from a strange man who requests her to meet at Budmouth. तो अब हेंचर्ड को ऑब्वियसली ये पता लग रहा है कि ये स्ट्रेंज मैन इज नन अदर देन एलिजाबेथ्स फादर न्यूसन. So Henchard feels depressed and he allows her to go. Henchard now decides to leave Casterbridge and he also says that he will not come in Elizabeth's wedding. तो क्या होता है कि न्यूसन reunites with his daughter and न्यूसन को जब पता चल रहा है कि एलिजाबेथ is going to marry फारफ्रे, तो वो एग्री कर रहे हैं ये मैरिज को कंटिन्यू करने के लिए. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट आते हैं चैप्टर 44 कि Henchard is now again going back to his past life. He visits Sweden priors and the location of the fair where he did all those mistakes. He starts working again as a hairdresser. Henchard hears about the wedding and decides to attend everything. ठीक है. अच्छा, लास्ट चैप्टर ऑफ दिस नॉवेल क्या होता है कि द वेडिंग इज ऑलरेडी कंप्लीटेड. Elizabeth, after 1 month of her wedding, finds out that the goldfinch bird is dead, which was actually gifted by Henchard. Okay. Elizabeth feels sorry for Henchard and she wants to meet him, but learns from Abel that he is already dead. And Elizabeth को क्या मिलता है? उसके पास से एक will मिलता है जिस will में उसमें वो मेंशन किया है कि एलिजाबेथ शुड नॉट बी टोल्ड अबाउट हिज डेथ एंड नो वन शुड रिमेंबर. Elizabeth finally reads that will. So the novel ends with the sad and tragic death of the protagonist, Henchard. So that is about the novel. We have completed the novel. ठीक है. तो नेक्स्ट क्लास से कल से हम स्टार्ट करेंगे थिंग्स फॉल अपार्ट को, which is again a part of your syllabus. So from tomorrow onwards, we will start things fall apart, discussing in detail. Okay, so that is the end of today's class. Thank you all for joining. This is the link of my Telegram channel. The link is also given in the description box. And these are the timings of your classes. So don't forget to join me live. Please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to get notified. Okay, so thank you all. Bye bye everyone. Good night. See you all tomorrow at 8:30. Sorry, 8:45 p.m.